what you said with going to streaming too fast, I think that doesn't allow the impact to happen. But I understand that it's expensive to keep a film in theaters, which is where I think studios and the people who love movies get lost, right? Where it's like a studio's like, I don't want to hemorrhage any more money keeping this in theaters. I can just move it to Peacock where we can, you know, have it up as an option for people. It doesn't cost us anything besides like the whatever fees that have to be paid out. And I think that's what is causing this mix up where it's like people have to choose which movies plus the economy too on top of everything. It's like people have to pick which movie to go see.
And it's funny you say that because I was not able to see Indiana Jones, the new one that came out this summer, when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking later on when my schedule allowed it, that's up to go see it. By the time I actually was able to go see it, it was already out of theaters.
Right.
And it's like, well, that's annoying because that's one of those ones. I'm not saying it was good or bad. I don't know. But it was one of those ones I'd want to see in a theater because it's a big event. And I didn't get the chance because whoever made the decision to not have it in theaters.
Really quick.
Yeah. And it is confusing to the public for, well, what is going to be available to see? I don't know. So you got to go see it as soon as possible.
Right.
We're all busy. That's not necessarily the case.
And I feel that same way with other movies that have come out. Like I missed Guardians of the Galaxy 3 in theaters. And I'm kind of waiting for it to go back in theaters because I haven't watched it on Disney Plus and I haven't seen it, but I wanted to see it in theaters. But the weekend that I wanted to see it, it was already out of theaters. And like I think that speaks to a lot of just the misunderstanding of what the disconnect between like the higher ups here and like the general people that watch your movies is like, we all are working, hard 2 to 3 jobs. Every single one of us is trying to survive. And by the time that we have time to check out the movie that we really wanted to see, it's maybe been 2-3 weeks past and now I've got to wait for it to come out on streaming and I don't get that same event feeling that I would have got. And that's unfortunate. And I think that's something that if we just take everything that I've said so far and get back to what is like, if you look at the Avengers movies, they were events when they came out. Like if you didn't see Infinity War like the first 2 weeks that it came out, like you were going to have it spoiled because everyone else in the world had seen it. But like now Marvel movies are like every quarter or like every 3 weeks. And I'm like, it's lost that same effect that it had when they were just putting out maybe 2 to 3 movies a year. Now I feel like we're spoiled to the point that we don't even appreciate the love and effort that goes into these shows and these movies as it is.
I think along those same lines is when Star Wars. Those were big events, but they also, you knew in May, if there was a Star Wars movie, it was coming out. And then they switched over with the new prequels to go, or the new sequels to go to December. I know that because my son got to enjoy them on his birthday. But you knew in December there'd be a new Star Wars movie. Then when Solo came out, and it kind of, through production and all those had problems, they switched it up. And you had The Last Jedi came out in December, and Solo came out in June. And then we had another movie coming out, and then 2 years. And it was like, it really screwed up the rhythm of people looking forward to, we know what's going to happen here. Harry Potter was similar. You knew Thanksgiving, there's going to be a new Harry Potter. You can look forward to it and plan your schedule.
Right.
But that's not the case anymore. They just kind of, I honestly don't know what the executives are thinking about other than we have a big event. We're going to pick this weekend in the summer, and that's going to be our weekend, and hopefully everybody else goes away. Oh my goodness, we had strikes. Now we can't reach that date, so we got to push it back. And I don't really know what they're thinking, but I don't think they're thinking of us as far as us getting to the theater.
And I also think you touched on it a little bit by being like, I want to control this conversation this weekend, right? Where it's like, it used to be like you would put box office hit up against box office hit, and you had to have the people choose.
Yeah.
And like that was like the biggest thing growing up is like you had to pick between this awesome movie and this awesome movie, and whichever one that you picked, you had to live with. You know what I mean? But it made the level of competition higher, and the fact that your movie had to be better than the one that was coming out the same weekend as you. And if it wasn't, then you lost the box office. And now it's like the movie conversations are like a week, if that. You know what I mean? You pick an arbitrary weekend at some point during life, and then you dominate the social conversation for a week. Where when they're getting back to the week to week the week releases with TV shows, you get a lot longer of a conversation out of these pieces, which is why I think that streaming services are getting back to the releasing weekly or even, you know, bi-weekly or whatever, because you get to have a longer conversation about the piece that's being released. And